Hello everybody, welcome to Dream GM. Today we are going to analyze the World Championship game between Mikhail Botvinnik and Mikhail Tal. Here Mikhail Botvinnik playing as a white and Tal playing as a black, and it's World Championship match held in Moscow, Russia, round 6 in 1960, and game start with c4 and knight f6. It's English opening, and Botnik develop a knight to f3, and Mikhail playing g6 and g3 played by both, and both are trying to develop the bishops and castle to the king side. Both are preparing for this, and Mikhail playing bishops to g6, trying to cover up the dark square, and Botnik play bishops to g2, trying to cover light square, and castle, and Botnik try to cover up the center with this both pawn and with the knight in the future, and Mikhail playing d6, trying to fight for the center with both sides of the game, and knight c3, trying to cover the center, knight to d7, trying to attack and fight for the center, and Botvinnik castle to the king's side, and both kings are safe and they are fighting to the queen side. e5, trying to fight for the center, and Botvinnik play e4, trying to cover the center with these three pawn and both knight and bishops and the queen, and c6 play by Mikhail Tal, trying to fight for the center as well. h3, not letting the knight come to g4, and our bishops to pin the queen in the future, sorry, and queen to b6, trying to thread the b2 pawn and the king at the same time if this center pawn are traded. And let's continue the game. d5, trying to trade some pieces here. c takes b5, and c takes d5 by Botvinnik. Knight c5, attacking the pawn with both knight, and open up the file for light square file for bishops to come up in this future. Botvinnik defend with bishops and the knight, and trying to trade the c5 square knight, which is looking very active and is looking all the diagonal, and is trying to take out the bishops to the light square for attacking, and he develop a knight and trying to trade the active knight of the black position. Knight takes d3, queen takes d3, and it's equal and fair trade. Rook to c8, trying to cover up the open file. Rook to b1, trying to protect the pawn while moving the bishops to attack the queen or knight and the bishops in the future. He develop a knight to the square and make free to the square of bishops, where bishops can go everywhere, and trying to trade this pawn, more especially trying to take this pawn while this pawn is pinned, so he can't take with the pawn. And Botvinnik attack the queen. Obviously don't let the knight come out. And queen to b4, queen e2, rook c4, attacking the pawn and trying to double a battery of the rook in the center of the board. And Botvinnik play rook fc1, trying to trade this active rook to b4 square, and Mikhail making a battery, double rook battery in the c file. Queen h2, f5, attacking the center with more pieces and fight for the center. E takes f5, bishops takes f5, attacking the rook and covering the entire light square here. And rook a1, and Mikhail sacrificed the full knight to create a counter play to the king side. With rook, knight and light square bishops. And Botvinnik take the knight on f4, pawn takes f4, and bishops d2, protecting the knight but removing the defense of b2. Queen takes b2, attacking the knight with more pieces. Rook b1, attacking the queen. And here Mikhail playing the best move in the position, the only move, pawn to f3, attacking the queen, leaving his queen hanging and trying to threat to make on queen in the future. And Botvinnik takes with the rook, and Mikhail take with the pawn and threat to promote a queen on e1. Rook to b3, rook d4, attacking the bishops to e1, moving from the safety. and Tal check with the bishops and covering the light square and place the bishops in very active square like this. King g1, taking the king to the safety, and bishops to f4, attacking the rook, and Botvinnik go for the trade. Mikhail take with the rook, and Botvinnik take with the knight, and here Mikhail Botvinnik is +2, but after taking his bishops, Botvinnik actually down a piece, and he take with the rook. He can't go to s2, so he has to block with the bishops to f1, and he block with the bishops. Bishops to e4, attacking the pawn on d4, d5 square, and covering the escape route of king completely. Knight e2, attacking the bishops, which is covering the escape for king. And attacking the bishops again with the pawn. Rook takes b7, trying to check or trade the pawn and completely cut off the kings from 8th rank. Mikhail take the pawn on d5 and covering this light square entirely. This dark square, bishops cover the dark square entirely, and Botvinnik play rook to c7. Bishops take a2, rook takes a7, c4, bishop c4, rook a8 check, king f7, rook a7 check, queen, king a6, and rook a3, trying to cover up the third file. And d5, this is the only pass pawn of Mikhail Tal, which can be fatal to the Botvinnik. He moves his king to the safety and attacking the rook. Bishops h4, king g2, queen d6, knight g3, blocking the bishops. Bishops takes g3, bishops takes c4, trading the bishops. And he takes with the king, and Mikhail have a pass pawn on c file, and his king is completely cut off, so he can't escape here. And Mikhail king is in open space where he can go anywhere. King d5, protecting the pawn and threaten to promote. Rook a7, c3, threaten to promote. Rook c7, attacking the pawn, not letting him to promote, but he protect with king d4. And after rook d7, this pawn can't be protected by promotion, so Mikhail Botvinnik resigned the game. Here I show you the best engine move. That they lead to checkmate.